The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
How is it going, my peoples, my peoples? Can you hear me? This is KC, your friend Kristoffer Carter from This Epic Life. I'm just going to kind of let the room fill up here a little bit, get cozy and situated. We're going to take a little bit of an alternative approach with this week's content. But I always got to start by saying thank you so much for tuning in week after week. You guys have been nothing short of amazing. So inspiring to watch people share their lens statements, some of the new habits they're putting into place for the year, and most importantly, how those habits are already impacting your 2014. I mean, if you can't believe it, we're 16 days into this year, and I don't know about you, but I'm sensing some mega things changing. I mean, it's a bunch of little small things we tweak that add up to major changes down the road. So let me just give it a minute or two to fill it up. How are my peoples doing? Hit me in the questions box and let me know you're out there. Can you hear me okay? Right on. I see my friend Rita Chan. What's up, Rita? So awesome to see you. Let's start recording this. Marion in New Zealand. So awesome you could join us from around the world. I have no idea what time it is there. Let me know what time it is there, Marion. Martin, all is well, my friend Martin Pig. Heather in Paris. Oh, thanks for joining us, Heather Stimler. You've been such an awesome addition to our squad here. Should I share my camera? Here in LA, KC. Is that Lisa? Who's in LA? Who's in LA? Rita Chan, Gregory Berg, Muriel in Canada. Muriel, I really want to thank you for the beautiful notes you sent me last night. Some of the readers have been sending me these lovely messages, and I swear I get them at the moment I really need them, because I'm cranking a lot of content at different hours. I'm traveling at the moment. I'm actually in Chicago today, if you can't tell, getting out of my family zone a little bit. And when I get those lovely notes about how things are going for you and how the lens statements are affecting your well-being and overall attitude and things, it literally means the world to me. So thank you. Keep them coming. Thanks for the shout out. All good in Victoria, BC, British Columbia. Is that my friend DDK, Deborah? Vicky in Scotland. Wow, we're getting a global audience here. This is really exciting for me. I had really no massive expectations aside from my typical Virgo type A full life integration epic expectations. I really had no expectations. But I didn't really plan on having a global audience. I thought I would just get it out to some friends and readers of the site, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own. And to see over 100 people show up every week and be so engaged like this, it's very, very cool. So with that, I'm going to get ready to get rolling here. Let me just give it a couple more seconds. Any more shout-outs? KFS in sunny San Diego. Go get them. Karen Friend Smith, who joined us last week, if you were here for her session or if you caught the replay, she shared some amazing things and just tweaks we can make to improve our bodily fuel. We also had Dr. Kristoffer Stepien, who shared some great things on movement and core fitness, which I don't know about you guys, but all week long, I started instituting new little rules. I wasn't going to say they're like new habits that I got to follow every single day, but as far as when I get conference calls, or when I'm on conference calls at home, or I get phone calls, I made this simple rule: I will never sit down and talk on the phone anymore. Since last week, and it's been amazing. So as soon as the phone rings, it gets me out. It gets me fully dedicated to the person on the other end of the line. I'm totally focusing on them and not my screen and my different tabs open. And I'm moving my body. I'm stretching. I'm doing some lunges and some squats. But just those little tweaks make so much of a difference. Gloria in New Orleans, awesome. I'm so glad you can make it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop sharing my camera for a second, and we're going to get rolling here. All right, this shouldn't surprise anybody, but 2014 needs to be completely different. That's why we're here. We are making the slight tweaks in all of our daily habits and rituals that add up to major shifts in trajectory down the road. If we get the year this early on and make these tweaks now, I promise you where you end up at the end of 2014 is really going to be a different place than had you not made these little tweaks. So let's get started. Our theme for this week is family. This is supposed to be blurred out on purpose. I'm really shy about showing pictures of my family. They're just not very cute. They're not very cool people. I'm just kidding. I have a shitload of pictures of my family for this one. I couldn't help it. I love my family. They're awesome. But I define family in a lot of different ways for a lot of our friends around the world that are just looking for the right soulmate or the right partner. I define family really loosely. So I have my nuclear family, which is one part of the concentric circle. I have my work family and friends, and then I have my global spiritual family. And I kind of consider all of you kind of in that wider circle of global friends and family. So the nuclear unit is just one way to define it. And then I even break it down a little bit further, and there's your family of origin, like the crazy people that raised you. And then there are, you know, your spawn, as I call them. Speaking of spawn, I love this little slide. I get these little homework assignments from one of my bosses. I always say that I'm happily employed. I'm infinitely employable, and I am the conundrum paradox of the happy employee. So I am happily employed by my God and guru. I'm happily employed by my wife and kids, most certainly, and I'm happily employed by my employers, which are Centro, Good Life Project, This Epic Life. So I'm a lucky ducky. I have plenty of work to do, but I love when I get these little homework assignments. Dear Daddy, please print a picture of a fluffy white kitten, underline, all caps. Put it in this to frame, Elliot. So sure enough, I completed that assignment. So why is family so important? Why do we have to talk about this in our non-negotiables, and what does this have to do with setting up our goals for 2014? Well, basically the quality of the people you surround yourself with really determine the quality of your life. And there's a great study that really speaks to this. The longest running psychological study in history. You know what, I'm going to share my camera. Why not? Let's get cozy here. So the longest running study in history was the Harvard Men's Study, and it started back in the 30s. They have 70 years of data from over 268 men who were coming in their prime as students at Harvard and then going on to all sorts of careers, doctors, lawyers, congressmen, all sorts of things. And they've studied these people, and basically the only question they were trying to ask or determine was, how happy are these people, and what is causing their happiness? What is impacting their happiness, their sense of fulfillment, overall the quality of their life? And about 10 years ago in a magazine, the custodian of all this data, this guy George Valiant, he was asked point blank, what is the biggest learning from all this 70 years of data of studying people's happiness? And what would you guess? He summed it up in one word. What would you guess that word is? Why don't you hit me in the question box really quick? I'm just curious to think of what the word is. One word sums up 70 years of happiness studying 268 men. You know, you had people that totally failed, totally succeeded, all these things. But what was the common denominator in all of them? What is it? Yeah. Wow, Bobby Joe Hickman, right on. Good to see you in here. Yeah, family is a great, it would be convenient because that's our topic for today. It is love, the L word, love. He said love, dash, full stop. So the quality of love and relationships in their life ultimately determined their quality of happiness over the whole span of their lifetime. And I think that we all feel that intuitively. I think we need that connection. I have lots of friends who are solopreneurs. They work by themselves. I do that a lot of times. I work by myself. Even when I work with my family in the house at the same time, I'm sequestered up in the attic for much of the day, down in my studio with the door shut. I find myself needing tactile, physical proximity to other human beings on the regular. But the reason I bring all that stuff up is that as we travel through life, we need mirrors. And I'm not meaning like mirrors to like, oh, look at how pretty I am, check out my hair today. It's more so we need people to bounce our gorgeous energy off of. It informs us, it focuses us, it lets us know that we're making an impact on others. And if there's anything out of my entire list of non-negotiables, maybe it's right up there with soul connection in terms of what it gives back to me. But the quality of the relationships in my life, starting with my family, outward to my friends, my spiritual community, certainly my work family. If you know me at all on a personal level, you know that I try to rock a considerable amount of gratitude. Well, the vast majority of all my gratitude truly comes from the quality of the people in my life. I just feel like I'm always, and I'll get emotional, but I feel like I'm always just trying to earn it, you know? I consider all of you my teachers. I try to walk into situations just learning from people. My wife certainly is probably my biggest teacher. And I'm just always trying to earn them being around, you know, and not from a place of neediness or not worthiness. You know I carry my weight, but, you know, I feel like all of our service in the world is to other people. It's not for ourselves. So with that, let's jump into the lens. I want to talk a little bit about the lens some more. and just have a little recap from last week, because I asked you guys to share your lens statements, to call into that reply line and share some of them, and so many of them came in. I wasn't able to share all of them here, but I did select a few. So what I'd like to start by doing today is to take 2 or maybe 30 quick seconds, moment of silence, and recite your lens statement to yourself. Sound good? All right, let's do it. Is it starting to feel more familiar to you? Is it starting to feel like something that's pulling you forward? I left the airport yesterday on my way into Chicago, and I was leaving the airport here in Chicago Midway on my way to the office, and I realized as I was on the plane that I didn't have my cell phone on me, and that's fine because it was dying. But you know, when you're on a business trip and you have so many people looking for you, not having your phone could be kind of unsettling. So rather than get it all caught up in that noise, I decided to recite my lens statement to myself, and not only silently in my head, but as I walked through the terminals, the moving sidewalks, all those things, I said it probably about 20 consecutive times out loud to myself. I figured I probably looked like I was mouthing some lyrics or something, so I didn't look totally insane, but I had a big-ass grin on my grill just saying it to myself over and over. So by the time I left the airport, I was feeling completely dialed, not at all concerned about my phone. That's one of the powers of the lens. Just a quick shout out to my girl Muriel here. Muriel, I really... Hey, is anybody else having a problem hearing? Let me just make sure you can hear okay. Hey, is this any better? Can you hear me a little bit better? Just hit me in the chat box. Yeah, cool. Sorry about that, you guys. Yeah, wow, nice. Thank you, way better. All right, Cassandra. So my friend Muriel sent me this beautiful note last night. I was very exhausted. I hadn't gotten in my meditation yet, and it was about 11 o'clock at night. I was up late working, traveling, staying in foreign lands, not having my family nearby, and I got this lovely note. It said, "Thanks for your commitment to helping people. Forever grateful for these webinars and stellar start to my year." And then she shares her lens statement. "Humor makes the heart more tender. To love and be loved is the beginning of all. Empathy in my relationship strengthens my love. Gratitude must be expressed every day, for it serves to remind me to focus on the positive, so I receive more positive from the universe. To work with creative people who speak and satiate my curiosity invites beauty all around me." That statement is so badass. To work with creative people who pique and satiate my curiosity invites beauty all around me. And then she mentions that her and her husband meditate for 20 minutes each night, which is, to me, a killer integration tip. I consider an integration tip anytime you're combining 2 non-negotiables. So time with your spouse spent in deepening your soul practice is a killer integration tip. My wife and I actually don't meditate together. However, I'm trying to get my kids into it a little bit. Sometimes they'll curl up on my lap while I'm meditating. I just kind of let my peace wash over them. But that's a really beautiful thing to receive. So thanks, Muriel. The other one I loved was Ann Rutherford. You kicked my ass this morning. You said, "You need to put a danger warning on the seminars. I wasn't quite prepared for the journey I've been catapulted on. Opening myself to the universe and all the possibilities that are in it have resulted in very little sleep, more energy than I've had in years, divine interventions, clarity, and joy, joy, joy." That kicks my ass, and I couldn't sum it up any better. In the past couple of weeks, aside from the beautiful prana hum that I feel in my body, prana is the life energy that us yogis kind of cultivate and try to keep track of. But I feel this hum when I wake up in the morning, but then it really kind of pulls me through my day, where I'm kind of like the kid on my bicycle running yard to yard, or riding yard to yard in the summertime as a kid, like expecting good shit to happen, and lo and behold, good shit tends to happen. So even when I feel unprepared or flustered or whatever, I trust for it to work out. I lean in, I think great things, and it happens. And this isn't all about just being like fluffy, there are no weeds in my garden bullshit. Trust me, I pull plenty of weeds on a weekly basis. I deal with as much extraneous noise and nonsense as everyone. I'm just saying the meditation combined with the vitality habit, combined with a lens statement so far, and now we're talking about relationships, this builds a cumulative, impervious bubble. It's kind of like a sonic turd deflector that life could just continue to throttle turds in your direction, and you will deflect them like you're a fucking Avenger. Sorry, I get excited. All right, my friend Mark Z, unleash the unicorns, bitch. I'll never forget him saying that on the last session. I love this lens statement. I use my creativity to develop something purposeful to myself and of service to others. I just nailed this week's session, is service to others. I live with deep love, laughter, and courage in both my professional and personal lives. Deep reflective knowledge is my end reward. The only tweaks I made to this, Mark, that I would suggest this to anybody, is whenever you use a projective type of word, like I will use my creativity to develop something, I will live with deep, you know, that's great, but it's more powerful to talk in the present tense. I use my creativity to develop something purposeful to myself and of service to others. You're already doing it, so why not take credit for it? That's the only tweak I made on that. Gloria, I'm a radiant expression of love and joy, living an extraordinary life. Every cell of my being is filled with life and attracts to me the good and perfect family, friends, soulmate, clients, income, and life experiences. I love this. Every cell of my being is, not will be filled, is filled. Beautiful stuff, Gloria. And just in case you're curious of mine, I know I've said it a few times, but you could borrow or steal whatever serves you in this. But I've highlighted in blue the virtues that I started with, and this is the tweak I made to it, the upgrade I made to it lately is that I had to end with discipline. I cultivate the discipline on a daily basis to rock all of the above. It's a very important point for me to live with a level of discipline, not only as a yogi and a disciple of my guru, but it really powers this entire equation. And if you think about it, all the habits that we're putting into place this month, I know I'm asking a lot of you, trust me, but I'm really cultivating discipline. Not discipline to me, I could give a shit. I'm talking about discipline to yourself, to show up for yourself, to pay yourself first, and everyone around you will reap those rewards all the way throughout your day. Cool? All right, so if you haven't done it yet, I'd love to hear more of them. I wasn't able to share the first batch, but I want to give you guys a chance to keep sharing these, so feel free to write this number down. I did confirm that it works. Some people had a little bit of trouble last week, but definitely use the number and let it rip. And if you could give me your first name, the city you're in, and your lens statement, I would love you for it. All right, session 2 recap, moving on. We talked about movement. Every 30 minutes, we should not be sitting around. I'm not sharing my web camera right now, but I literally just got out of my seat. I'm stretching my lower back. I'm trying to forget that I'm a sedentary sitting down office guy all day long, and I'm just trying to move my mortal frame. So movement is so key. Our friend Karen Smith from The Kitchen Skinny, she really planted the seed that I really have to start chilling on sugar. I was already starting to make some moves in that direction, but she made me thoroughly aware of it last week. So now I'm making conscious efforts to do that. Squats and lunges. Who knew that they were the basics of all movement? All of us would benefit from like just way more squats and lunges. In the session 2 replay, there's a killer regimen that Dr. Chris gave us of just simple things you could do at your desk or throughout your day that could totally transform your strength and fitness. Water, water, water. Drink half your body weight in fluid ounces per day if you can. I've been really bad with this the last couple days while I'm traveling, but I am trying to consume copious amounts of water just so I don't sound like Neil Diamond when I'm talking to you. Unless you want me to sound like Neil Diamond, then I'll play you some Neil Diamond songs. All right, so how are we doing out there? Who is 15 for 15 or 14 for 14? Who is trying to seriously stay and go for 30 for 30? And it's okay. You don't have to... I'm not going to judge you here. In fact, if I do judge you, I'll pull out my gavel and I will judge you as awesome. I'm whacking my damn gavel on the desk. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Heather Stimler Hall, she says me. You're 15 for 15, girl? Wow. Food-wise, 15 out of 15. Deborah, 15 for 15. Killer. Killer. And again, as we grade ourselves, Laura Neff. Oh, by the way, guys, you should try to find me inside Insight Timer. If you're using the Insight Timer for your meditation practice, you could search for Kristoffer from Akron, and we can meditate together. Laura Neff out in Charlotte meditates with me every morning. We shoot each other little notes like, thanks for meditating with me. It's so cool to have that little accountability partner because I'm not going to get on these things and tell you that I meditated an average of 60 minutes last week and have her call bullshit. Wow, not 100% damn close, but still rocking it. Awesome. Cool. Well, All right, there's no right grade here. We're going to have you grade yourselves in a second, but this is how mine looks. I haven't gotten to my meditation practice yet. It's usually the toughest to squeeze in when I'm on the road traveling. My days start very early and end very late, so I promise you I will get around to it, but I did run 3 miles this morning, and I've taken a few 4-mile runs on some very icy trails by my house. So overall, I'm feeling pretty darn good. And isn't it interesting that if you combine in a certain period of time throughout your day, a soul practice with some level of movement, it's like all the cobwebs are erased from your consciousness. It's kind of like that drop of Dawn dishwashing detergent in that greasy ass pan. So like your consciousness is that greasy ass pan. That one drop of Dawn is the meditation, and it's like boom, clear. And then you take that show on the road, move your body a little bit, and you come back feeling pretty awesome. I don't tell you this stuff to try to be perfect or anything. I tell you this because it will result in better work and better contributions throughout the day. All right, so let's grade ourselves. How did we do with our vitality practice? Mine, what I committed to was 4 miles 4 times per week, running, drinking my alkaline water every day, and no caffeine. So how are we doing? I'm giving myself a B+, by the way, because I did have some tea a couple days in the afternoon. Not a huge infraction, but I still have a couple 4-mile runs to get in before Sunday, I believe. So how are we doing? B- still needs work. Come on, let me hear your grades. Cassandra, how did you do? Cassandra, I will tell you right now, too, that I stole a little bit of this from my teenage friend Jason Woods, your husband, because he planted the seed when we were kids around this idea of non-negotiables, because he would say we'd be working out at like Bally's Fitness and I'd be dying and he'd be like going like an animal and saying like, I'm not giving up working out. Workout is something I always do. Do great in school is something I always do, blah, blah, blah. And it really kind of planted that seed. A in vitality and a B on meditation. That's great. Oh, Rita, you got your ass kicked by a tooth infection. That sucks. That's Jay Woods. You're right. That's him. All right, cool. So my thing with the grades is it's not to be hard on yourself. It's more so to give yourself credit. But it is important to be real with yourself. And if you could inch your way towards some B-level work, A-level work, and just the consistency of habits, that's when you start noticing major, major shifts in everything around you. But ran every day first thing. Brian ran every day first thing. He's giving a C in meditation, still fighting the monkeys. Yeah, but the way you fight the monkeys in meditation is not by not sitting. You go and you become friendly with those monkeys. You transcend the monkeys. You one by one erase them from the screen of your consciousness. I had probably a harder time than most people. I know I've said this each week, but I had a harder time than most people sitting for 5 minutes, let alone the hour plus that I do these days. So I can tell you the monkeys are ever present. I have them. I drift away on thought clouds or whatever you want to call it. However, the practice is coming back, bringing your conscious back to center, bringing your focus back to silence, back to a white screen. That is the practice, not the monkeys. The monkeys are ever present. You know, you're a human being. Of course you have monkeys in your mind. Yeah, do I still strongly discourage standing meditation versus sitting? Yeah, I do, in that I don't strongly discourage anything, but I would say that your meditation will be more productive if you're sitting, if you're in a relaxed posture, if you're, let me do this, I'm going to share my screen for a second. If you're seated upright and your spine is the straight vertical line to the cosmos, your antenna, your receiving station, you know, I sit with my hands upright, resting on my thighs. That is a great meditation posture because you maintain total alertness, and your body, you're trying to turn off as many senses in your body as possible. So if you're standing, you have muscles engaged. That alone can create some, I don't want to say static, but it does create an awareness inside the body that you're not fully at rest. So seated, straight up, hands up is a really good one. I prefer, half lotus on the floor seated. I usually sit on 2 cushions, so my butt is raised up a tiny bit off the floor. It allows my spine to stay totally straight, so I'm not like in kind of like a bucket seat, Does that help? Sound going up, down randomly now. Oh, I'm sorry, Heather. That might be something with GoToMeeting, but I'll try to stay closer to the mic. Oh, the sound just got rubbishy again? That sucks. Hold on. GoToMeeting, be my friend. Vicky, I love how you tell it like it is. You're like, sound rubbish. Again, I get you. I feel you. I hear you. When you're closer, it's fine. Cool. So is this a little bit better? Now let me do this. I'm going to lower my seat a little bit too. Oh. Yeah, that's better. All right, cool. So moving on past grades, I'm really excited about this week. We have 2 subject matter badasses. My friend Jennifer Boykin from Life After Tampons. My friend Matt Schneider, the founder of the New York City Dads Group. Both of them incredible parents in their own right, but also both of them very artistic about the way they balance their roles in their family lives with what their outward mission in their lives are. And I hope you get a little bit out of that they are very busy people. Matt happens to be a stay-at-home dad, something that I would kill to try at some point in my dad career. Haven't had the opportunity yet. And Jennifer works from home as the leader of her global revolution around midlife insurrection for her Life After Tampons tribe. So with that, I'm going to do one last quick refresher on this. Just really quickly, as we build through the non-negotiables, soul is number one for a reason. We've determined that. We take care of ourselves first, connect ourselves. We take another level of self-care around vitality and health, and then we take that into our family situations. We are now ready to leave that, open the door and deal with other people, give more to other people. That's kind of the reason for the order of this week's session. So the thing I say about this in the manifesto is we honor where we come from and we carry with us only the good. I had to overcome this in my own life, as many of us do as teenagers, like not hating on our families, but having just issues with different ways we were raised, whatever. But I believe it's the healthiest to honor where we come from. Even a shitty situation makes you who you are, but you have the choice to carry with you only the good. I love this quote by Ram Dass. I sent this out in the email if you saw it this week. This one kicked my ass. I saw it the other day. As I was preparing for this, if you think you are enlightened, go visit your family. And it's so true around Thanksgiving. It just really, challenges me. They don't know that I lead, global webinars around trying to attain some level of enlightenment. My family's like, pass the gravy, you idiot, So think about that in the context of family. Really quick, I'll take you through my family legacy. My wife and I have been married for 15 years. We've been together for 18 years. Her name is Gail. I do feel like I met my soulmate. I never planned to get married, looking like literally a child in this photo. However, we were married when she was 21 and I was 23. Wow, it's a trip to see. This picture's from last year. Been together 14 years at this point. Over Christmas time. And this is our Christmas photo with our 3 spawn, Elliot Carter, Frankie Jane Carter, Leon Henry Carter, also known as Little Male Gale. Our house is anything but normal. This wasn't one of my finer parenting moments. I think it was called Underwear on Your Head Night. Of course I participated. Yes, it was my own underwear, but I love this picture of Frankie. This is when Leon was on his way. We use this for Gail's natural birthing classes and her site, but the reason I show you these is that I underestimated the power of family in my own life, quite frankly. For a lot of my life, I really resisted the role that I signed up for when I got married. I got married for kind of vapid reasons. I was like, I'll try to convince the most beautiful girl I could find to marry me, and that'll sustain us. Her beauty will sustain us. I'm in the trust tree right now, by the way. And that was the thinking of a 21-year-old guy. Marry a beautiful girl that you love, that you want to be with. I knew that she had maternal instincts. I knew that she would probably be a great mom. I had no idea that she would create literally the miracle in my life that happened almost despite everything else. So I was always chasing, fame and creativity and artistry and money and spirituality, whatever you want to call it, and almost running away from my family obligations. And now, from this perspective, I totally understand that there wouldn't be KC or me as I know it without Gail. She is the ultimate mirror. She's the ultimate amplifier for everything that I do. And also B, the kids. I didn't plan to have all these awesome ass kids, but talk about trying to earn it, talk about trying not to screw them up, talking about, capturing them doing little simple things, focusing my lens on them and just praying that I don't let these moments pass too quickly. Because it's it's magical stuff, you know. So I always say that the thing I say about my family is this the most pedestrian, predictable shit you've ever seen in your life, or is this the most radical, cutting edge, you know, not the norm stuff? And I really think, as KFS said last week about her own family and family dinners and being healthy, this is not the norm these days, you know. And I got this straight from my grandfather. So this is like a happier moment with my child Leon, another happier moment with my girl Frankie Jane, ripping our ears out. This is Frankie a couple years later playing guitar for the Christmas card. Elliot and her double, it's a double rainbow, by the way. And I think where I got this from, and the biggest gift I got growing up, was this influence from my grandfather. He wasn't your typical grandfather. This is from my manifesto, Through Lifetimes and Beyond, the Lens Endures. But I had a grandfather that was literally the Walt Disney of his neighborhood, and he had 6 kids. And he had a wife of 60-some years when he passed away. And they were very much in love. And my Nana talks about him all the time as if he's still in the same room. And he actually still is in the same room because I feel his presence everywhere. When I hold a newborn baby, or when I push a peak of physical endurance in a marathon or something, I honestly feel my grandfather, because we were so connected. I feel him borrowing my lens through my eyes. And it's a full body buzz, and it's a very real thing to me. And I don't think it's weird, and I don't feel weird talking about it because it's my direct experience. But him and I were deeply connected. I recently went to his house for business travel a couple months back, and my little 93-year-old Nana hung up these pictures, almost like this altar. Check out this beautiful patriarchal, sweet-ass altar, you know. So these are all the 6 kids. This is my mom and her brothers and sisters. But then this is all of them grown up, including my 93-year-old Nana and her caretaker. And when I think about my grandfather, I think about this quote from my guru, Paramahansa Yogananda. When he was getting ready to leave the body, all of his disciples kind of knew his time on earth was ending. His mission on earth was coming to a close. So what did he say to kind of quell all their fear around him leaving them? Something very simple. He just said, when I'm gone, only love can take my place. And I just feel if we live our lives in a way where we're able to instill that in the people around us, that it becomes the truth. There is no replacing any of the humans by us. You know, only the love that we give back to others, and only the love that we share through, you know, remembrances and stuff, it comes close to taking their place. So it's my grandfather. And what did he give me ultimately? Well, he gave me the lens. So it's the I believe in everything and everyone all the time, but I'm able to capture these moments, these blurry ass photos where if I seem silent at breakfast and my eyes are welling up, it's just because I'm taking mental snapshots and I'm encoding the memory to my hard drive because I need to remember it so I don't let all this magic slip away. And I capture it at random times. You know, this is pulling the wagon down the street. This looks like the Abbey Road album cover with my kids popsicle dancing because they're so damn happy to have some popsicles. The monkeys, you know, so that's my grandfather and his legacy. And this was in the New York Times Magazine, by the way, in the 50s. It's like the perfect American family, quote unquote. They were given a fake American name. Their last name is actually Bearano. They were called the Bay, what were they called? The Bear family or something. And this is our family from last summer. But everything I learned, and I'm Forrest Gumping my way through familyhood, I learned from my grandfather's example. So with that, I want to introduce my very good friend, Jennifer Boykin. And let me just make sure that she could share her webcam. Hey, Jennifer, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you share your camera? Oh, there you are.
I have dark hair now, everybody.
Yeah.
This week.
Well, let me show them the baby you, because I thought it'd be cool to have this meta picture of you holding a baby of yourself. Do you dig it?
It's awesome. Leon's cuter though.
I don't know about that, Jen. I think it's a toss-up. So what I thought would be cool to start with as far as our subject matter badasses, tell me a little bit about what you do in the world and what you're known for first, and then we'll use that as a jumping off point.
Well, that depends on who you're talking to. I'm the creator of the midlife movement, Life After Tampons, and basically what that means is I make trouble for a living professionally, and my women are all over the world and are all interested in taking a turn in their own lives. And in my personal life, I'm married to my husband, Mr. Delicious, for 4 years now, and together we have 6 boys.
6 boys.
6 boys. Yes, we do.
One of my favorite things in my life, Jennifer, is to talk to you about the side effects of living with 7 men and what that means. Like how often people talk about things like balls in a given day and just the side effects of that. It's very fun.
Every day. Every day.
I grew up with one other boy, and that's all we talked about.
That's it. What else is there? Farts. Farts.
Oh, that's right. There are two. The two food groups.
Farts. 2 things. Yeah.
So my main question for you to start with is, because you've assumed this big mission for your women, and you've kind of adapted this tribe of women as your kind of expanded family in some ways, and you're very much a mother hen for them. How did your own family, either your family of origin or your own nuclear family, kind of help fuel that movement? You know, were you that woman that needed to go out and get your own?
Well, I don't know that I would win the Kool-Aid Mom award. I might have aspired to that in the early days, but I quickly found out that I didn't have game there. If I had started Life After Tampons 20 years ago, when I really had the vision, my site would have been mothers who want other shit too. I've always loved my family. They are necessary, but not sufficient to any kind of contentment or happiness in my life.
Wow.
They're a piece of it, but it's not sufficient there. And, that's the way it is. I'm the brave mother who actually tells the truth about that, by the way.
Can you repeat that for me? Because that was like a bomb. That was like a knowledge bomb going off. I just got to let that sink in.
Well, I love my family and I adore them, and I take a bullet for any one of them, but they're necessary but not sufficient for my contentment in life. They're just a piece of it, a huge piece, but not enough by itself.
Wow, that's so brave for you to say that about your spawn and your children, because most of us figure that out when we shift our expectations of our parents. Like we depend on our parents to make us happy as like little ones, but then at some point we realize that it's not our parents' job only to make us happy. But to do that as a parent, to relieve yourself of some of that pressure and expectation, I think that's very raw and real for you to say that.
Well, I'm not relieving myself, I'm relieving them. If my raison d'etre is my family, that puts all the pressure of my happiness on them. And that's exactly the opposite of what I want for them. My job is to raise strong, intelligent, giving men in the world, and that means they're launched. That means they aren't feasting on their mother's emotional marrow. They're out there doing shit.
Yeah. Wow, that's killer stuff. So as you're out doing your own work in the world, and
right.
I've been, I'm not exactly your target demographic, but I do comment on your site from time to time. When I read your writing and I see your speaking events and stuff, I wonder how hard it is for you to find that balance, doing all of that from home. How do you juggle the preparation of meals and all that stuff?
Well, balance is a big fat lie. It's not something I aspire to. I think that balance point is sort of the place you see as you swing from one extreme to another in life. Went past it again. Whoop, back over here. So I don't really look for that. I sort of try to see what's screaming at me the most today, and how does that fit in with what's the most important to me, and put those two together. I think we give women an impossible task, and now working dads, an impossible task by saying that you're supposed to have balance in your life when you're working all day and then you have family at home. There's no such thing.
Yeah, right.
And so maybe just a theme of the day so that everything rotates back eventually.
I remember a point with the beginning of last year when I was delivering a pretty massive work project and I was in the thrash over it. And I was like, I know what it's supposed to be, and I'm dying here. I don't know how to ship it. I don't know what I'm doing. And you said the most beautiful thing that really let me off the hook for all that. And you said, I just hear a guy with small children at home. And so, and it reminded me that oh my God, I am. I have 3 small kids at home. And I just felt like that was so compassionate to say when you said it. I was like, thank God for reminding me, because how do we forget those things? Like, how does that happen?
Well, I think that if you're a really gifted visionary person or a really creative person, all day long, ideas are coming to you all day long. And every idea that you don't get to do is a death, kind of. And so you feel those. And when you have small children, more than one child, relationships that you need to keep going and strong, everyone needs a piece of you to keep, or you feel that way. Actually, it's kind of true. And so I think it's just important to remind people of that. It's not realistic.
Yeah.
You have to just accept the death of your dream for a little while.
Never!
You sort of have to decide, yeah, it's okay, it's going to come back. But see, when I was in that stage, I didn't feel like, my worry was, what if I die before I get a turn? What if I die before I get a turn? And I had to reframe that for myself, because if you stay there too long, then what you have, instead of gratitude and appreciation and contentment for your family, is you can get resentful and bitter.
Yeah. I think early on in my marriage, I treated my marriage, and it wasn't Gail personally, but I treated my marriage as the obstacle to my dream of rock stardom. I'd rather sleep on the floor of a practice space or a dirty studio than go home to my comfy bed with my wife. And that whole suffer for your art bullshit that I'm going to demystify next week in the art portion.
Yeah.
How did you reconcile that? Because you have out of your many superpowers, what about the music superpower? Can you talk to me a little bit about your musicianship?
Well, I began my career as a flute player when I was 11. That was 7th grade. And my first degree program was being a professional flautist. I've played now for 4 decades. And but for me, it's, even though I'm really gifted at it and really, really accomplished at it, it's like my family. It's necessary but not sufficient. And now, as the years go by, I wouldn't even say that it's necessary.
Yeah.
For me, the music was a bridge of survival for where I was at that time. And sometimes now, even playing, I don't enjoy it as much because it brings back those feelings of angst and desperation and during those days. So I haven't made a bridge yet to me as a flute player just joyful. And I don't even really have an aspiration to that. I'm really grateful that my higher power sent me that gift at the time, and it feels, and I feel that piece of me, like even now. One of the reasons that, you know, as a professional speaker, you can get up at the drop of a hat and speak in front of 1,000 people is because you've played, you know, Prokofiev for 41 years. You don't care if you mess up. Oh, I meant to do that.
So in that way, it's like a foundation. It's kind of an integration habit where your gift of performance and sharing and connection with people in a public setting is tied to all those years in the woodshed practicing the flute.
That's right.
And I see a big correlation with you in your word craft with your flute playing.
Right, I know. The words, the music in the words is so important to me. I hear cacophony, I hear resonance and dissonance in the words when I write. I can feel when I've got the accent, the wrong word, because the accent's on the wrong syllable. It's a composure of composition.
I noticed when you came out to visit us, you've been out to see us in Akron a couple times, which was pretty amazing, but you brought your flute. And just hanging out in my back office, just ripping a little Flight of the Bumblebee and some other things you were doing. I mean, just to tell everybody out there, it's no joke. I mean, she's very humble to say, you know, I've played flute for 4 decades, but it is virtuoso level. Serious. I've been lucky to be around a lot of hardcore musicians my whole life, at times being one of them myself. But that I've always had a serious respect for classical players, because the technique and the phrasing and the timbre and you could hear every ounce of what goes into it in your playing. So.
Yeah, well, it's great for a passionate person to be an artist.
Yeah, and your body starts moving with it, you know.
Yeah,
and
I know. I tried to stop that, and I had a teacher once who said, "Can you move less?" And I'm like, "No, because when I hold, the God comes through, and so it's not me anymore."
Yeah, that's another beautiful thing I'd have to share with people, is that when when I was getting ready to publish my manifesto, the manifesto was way too glossy, and it was like, oh, look at how perfect my life is. Basically, it was like a fucking Kristoffer Carter infomercial. And I needed to get very real at the beginning of it and share my point of desperation, which is when my life imploded. And I wrote that. And Jennifer, you wrote back the most beautiful thing. You said, you know, I hear the raw hand of God in this writing, and I know you're very in tune with that stuff. And because that section flowed for me creatively and stuff, and all of your influence, and I've always considered you a big sister in that way. You know, that kind of validation from you means the world to me. Just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anytime you can tell the truth and be brave, that's when your best work comes out.
Yeah. See, you guys should write that down. Anytime you tell the truth.
Don't write it down. Actually do it.
Yeah, right.
That's even better.
So I want to talk to you a little bit before we get mad up. Just how's our boy Sweet Avis doing? So one of your sons, Avery, came with you to Akron. Literally the oldest soul I've met in a teenager. And what's it like to hang out with one of your teenage kids as like a peer or equal? Because the kid, like psychologically and mentally and soulfully, he's like older than you and I are.
Yeah, he's the wisest person he came out that way. I'll say that it was in his eyes when he was a newborn. Wow. That's my center son. My oldest son is in pre-law, and my center son is a senior right now, and he's going off to journalism school. He wants to write, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then you have Logan.
He thinks the world of you.
And then you have
Logan.
Logan Bedogan.
My last became a teenager 2 weeks ago. So our boys are now 13 to 28. Every 3 years, we have 6 men. Wow. Every 3 years. Got another one. Yeah.
Well, I wish I could keep this going all day with you, Jen. We'll just pick this up offline as soon as the webinar is over, because I always get so much soul and so much inspiration from you. But thanks for sharing your story. Oh, tell us a little bit about what you're launching, because you have a big announcement to make here in the next couple of days. Your new book.
Right. Well, my project, Life After Tampons, will be 2 years old on February 1st. And last year, for our 1-year anniversary, I wrote a book for my members called Breakthrough, How to Get On With It When You Can't Get Over It. And this year, I took a little different tack. I wrote sort of a combination annual report, but through the lens of strategist, which is really, I'm more a strategist than coach. And so what I did was I used myself as the best example of a bad example, and how to tease around your personal inventory and then plan your difference maker, whatever that venue is that you're looking for that, based on acceptance and truth. So it's called The Year I Chose to Rise Again. And that's coming out in the next few days or so. I read,
and damn you for keeping me up late last night, because you sent me that thing.
Did you like it?
You sent me the final. Yeah, like I got like 30 pages in, and like I'm like, oh, what do I do with this now? I was pretty excited. Cool. I became a woman who rose at like 11 p.m. All right, well, Jennifer, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, love.
Much love. I'll talk to you soon. All right, friends. So I'm going to exit our friend Jennifer. What did you think of Jennifer Boykin? If you want to share in the comments, she's a pretty badass soul sister of mine. But I'd love to. I wanted her to share a little bit of perspective from her vantage point, with her kids being the ages that they are, and then we're going to. Pivot that now. Wow, they loved it. Awesome. Wise mama, great woman. Must go to the website. Very cool. Yeah, Jen's the real deal. So my next friend, Mr. Matt Schneider, does not lead a midlife insurrection for women. He is the founder of New York City Dads Group. And what's so brilliant about Matt's story is when he founded this website through some good luck with some organic search in Google, and organic search rankings and some other points, he became like the go-to guy for everything about the stay-at-home dad. So he's ended up on countless national television shows, all over New York City media, just as the face of the stay-at-home dad. So I want to get Matt on now to talk a little bit about some of his journey. So Mr. Matt, can you see me yet? Oh, let me unmute you. 1 second, my friend. Can you hear me okay?
There we go. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You look and sound great.
Can you hear? Okay.
Yeah, so...
I found some new light.
So tell me a little bit about... The other day we were talking, and you said when you very truthfully you said, when I was a stay-at-home dad before the New York City dad group stuff, your only identity was as Max and Sam's dad. Could you talk a little bit about the impact of that on like your average American dude?
Well, I really connected with Jennifer listening to her talk about sufficient but not enough, because I had kind of dedicated my life. It was a big move for me to become an at-home dad. I had a pretty successful career. I went to a good college, actually started a new career as a teacher, and I was going to leave all that behind. And that decision to leave all that behind, I think for a lot of us that decide to stay at home, becomes one where I was going to be the best damn dad out there. I was going to make every bite
meal
of their food from scratch. It was going to be all organic and from the farm, and I was going to puree it myself, and that lasted a long time. Every moment I was judging myself against some unknown standard of what a perfect dad is supposed to be, what a perfect parent was supposed to be, and I don't think I knew it at the time, but I got lost. That was it. I was just doing everything I could to make sure they were getting what they need.
You know, it's amazing. As much as I want to empathize with you for that situation, for those unrealistic standards, in the back of my head, selfishly, I'm thinking, I wonder how awkward it would be for him to adopt a 38-year-old male. Would you consider being my dad?
I made some good meals, and they were much better eaters then than they are now. Their palates were much more open than they are now.
Yeah. You know, you remind me of my friends Jason and Cassandra Woods are on this call out west, and really similar ethos in terms of every meal from scratch, everything organic, super healthy, whole ingredients. And I've seen, I've seen a lot of my friends struggle to maintain, not only that standard. It's great if it becomes a habit and you could do it. And I feel like they're one of those couples that have it dialed. But I know that we struggle with it in our household. We go through these waves of it's those standards get out of line, and you're like, all of a sudden you want your kids to thrive even more than they're thriving. They don't know that they're not thriving. It's like you projecting them on that. So how do you kind of balance that kind of like up and down tick of, your standards and expectations and stuff?
I don't know that I do balance it. I think I'm always questioning whether I'm doing the right thing and wondering how they're doing. I think my wife and I have great communication between us, and we really balance each other out. And I think we find that way. One of us is crazy at one moment, and the other is crazy at the other moment.
Thank God.
Luckily, we're never crazy at the same time. Otherwise, our lives would fall apart. But I think that's a big part of it. And the kids balance themselves. They don't need me to balance it for them. If they don't like what they're doing, as we all know, we're feeding a 5-year-old. If he doesn't like what he's eating, he's not gonna eat it. Even if chocolate's on the table. So I think it's a constant work in progress in trying to find kind of balancing the standards. And I think parents have such a hard time these days. The metrics for what it means to be a good parent and how well your children are doing and what opportunities you need to give to your children are so out of whack right now. And people feel so much pressure to, I think we're all scared that our kids aren't going to do as well as we have, and we're going to give them every opportunity to play every instrument, learn every language, write every book before they're 7 years old, and can't be good for them.
No, I'm so glad you said that. I actually wanted to ask you, some of the questions I had for you are around, with what you've built with the New York City Dads Group, I would imagine you get some ample time to connect with some of these other dads. Do you find that they shared that kind of sense of isolation you had and kind of beating themselves up? Do you feel like that's validated in them?
Yeah, no, I think they're not necessarily beating themselves up. I think they are definitely isolated, though. Men are not very good at connecting with each other.
No, no way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can you believe that?
I got. They're like, I got this.
Well, there's that, but somehow in our culture, it's groups of men hanging out together is kind of worrisome to people. You used to have the Elks Club and bowling league.
Yeah,
and
right.
Stuff, and
now it's called a gang.
Men don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So I think we started a group for dads to help find each other, because I know I was on the playground and I would see a dad frequently, and I wouldn't talk to him. probably was home or he was working at home, and I didn't make any effort to talk to him. But once we started this group and putting it out there that 5 of us are going to meet at the playground next Wednesday at 10 a.m., join us, and all of a sudden we had 10 guys there, 15 guys there, 20 guys there, and they all really found what they were looking for.
I almost picture this like sweet procession of dudes pushing strollers to the park, and they fall in kind of like the Beat It video by Michael Jackson. Like one stroller falls in, then all of a sudden you have this army of strollers pushing up the block. Is it like that or not?
Your creative energy to come make our video.
Yeah,
we've had marches over the Brooklyn Bridge. We live in New York City, so it's been an amazing opportunity to really enjoy New York City. And moms groups, and at least in New York, tend to be very neighborhood focused. So there's a downtown moms group that doesn't allow dads, by the way. But we have meetups all over the city, and from the day, especially with my youngest, we were all over the city every day going and doing fun stuff.
So I think the big takeaway from your work with the dads group is to reach out beyond the walls of your own home and connect with people that are in similar type of situations, you know, that they, whether they realize it or not, they probably need a level of support or just another bro with kids.
Well, there's just a lot of things going on with what it means to be a dad right now, and we don't have very many role models to look to say, well, that guy has figured it out. That guy has figured out how to work and be the dad he wants to be. That guy, we talk a lot about the media, pushing marketers even to change the way they're portraying dads, because this buffoon dad that's been portrayed in advertising and movies and TV, I believe actually has an effect on how people see themselves in their own families. And I think I'm actually worried. I grew up watching The Cosby Show and watching Cliff Huxtable.
I was thinking of Cliff Huxtable.
Awesome dad. And this generation about to have kids grow up with Homer Simpson and Al Bundy as their role models for what it means to be a dad. So I see popular culture moving in the right direction.
Yeah. That's great. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time today. You can find Matt online. Give me your URL. Is it NYC Dads Group?
NYCDadsGroup.com. We're a meetup group. We've got a blog, podcasts, everything. So
and you have hundreds. I mean, you have hundreds of members. You've definitely created a movement. I mean,
We've got 900 plus members in New York, and we've started in 7 more cities. We've started dads groups across the country. So,
I don't think I realized that you were in 7 cities. That's so awesome, man. You're giving me hope, brother. Let me know when you need an Akron chapter. I will open that sucker up.
We're close. We're in Columbus. We'll find the Cleveland Akron chapter.
All right, cool. Well, Matt, thank you so much for your time, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Say hey to Matt. Say bye to Matt, everybody. Bye, Matt. So that concludes our subject matter badasses for the week. As you can see, you know, just some diverse viewpoints on this whole thing of balancing out our lives and relationships with other people. And again, I didn't want to focus solely on what it is about kids, because there's plenty of other family applications that don't include tiny little people running around. However, I thought that was pretty topical for the audience. So as far as where we're going to go from here, I'm not going to make you create a habit around treating your family better. I will ask you to make it a point to look somebody in the eyes who you're close to, who you depend on, and just thoroughly thank them for everything they're doing for you, and be honest. I had one of these moments recently with my wife where we were just kind of planning out our year, and I was kind of stressed leading up to it, you know, thinking that, wow, I have to ask her to do a lot of travel. I'm going to be doing a lot of travel. I have to ask her to stay home with the kids for different things. And at the end of it, I made a point to thank her yet again for the ability to go out and be who I am in the world while she's doing so much of the heavy lifting at home. But just those little things. Stop, share your lens with the people you love, ask for their input on it, ask what they think about it, and consider incorporating some of it, because those people have the best possible view into who we really are, hopefully outside of ourselves, sometimes even better than ourselves. So I'd ask you to do that this week. So do this now. if you want to commit something publicly, you could get on our Facebook page at This Epic Life Official, or just, I love when people share it in the threads, and then we could all kind of share and respond to them. Remember, your soul and your vitality practice has to stay intact over the next couple weeks. I want you to write it on your calendar, the tracking sheet, like just some little things you're going to do to move your family situation forward. One of the biggest things I did this past week in terms of setting up my entire year was having that like half-day planning session with my wife. So we got our full year planned out. We booked our travel to Portland for World Domination Summit, all of my Good Life Project outings, my major work obligations, all that stuff's on the calendar, so there's no surprises. We agreed to meet once per week to kind of review it. But like that steady communication was so freaking key. And now I'm heading into the year like thoroughly excited, like having so much stuff on the books to look forward to with my family, with my work, with my music, all these things. So if I could make any recommendations to you, just like we optimized our space in week one, like our workspace, I would tell you to optimize your long-term calendar right now. I would tell you to go in and get tight with the people you're close to and say, what do we have coming up that we need to get on the calendar? What can we book airfare for? What can we book an Airbnb for? Where can we stay? Those things are exciting to do together, and they pull you forward towards an amazing year. So I want you to stay tuned next week for an incredible deep dive into the creative process, how we start taking all of our non-negotiables in creating the most creative, artistic output we possibly can in the world. I have two amazing women, Cynthia Morris, she's my writing coach, killer artist in her own right, and Monique Danielle, maybe the best singer I've ever heard live in the same room. And what do you think? I won't ask you again to share your lens statement, but you really should. Are there any Q&As? I'm going to open it up for Q&A right now, and if you guys are slow to respond, I'm happy to play a song if you want to hear one. It's not mandatory, but I did bring my guitar. I'm getting ready to give a keynote right now at my company in Chicago, and I'm actually going to incorporate my guitar. But if anybody wants to hear something, I'm happy to play. Does anybody have any questions about family balance, relationship balance? You know, I'll tell you right now, for any of my single friends, if I was single in this day and age, in the age of, I don't really remember dating at this point. I don't remember meeting people, but I remember it was fucking hard. So what I would really recommend is like, I think the Match.coms of the world are pretty badass. I think like all those platforms to connect people and to weed out preferences and compatibilities, like I would be all over that shit if I was a single person. Just gonna say that because sometimes people have like weirdness around that. I don't think there's any weirdness whatsoever. I think it's pretty awesome. What if there are no family and no close friends? Whom do I give all my love? Wow. So if you're truly walking solo through a chunk of your life, I would start by finding out organizations that you could belong to so you can connect with people to create that kind of peer type of family first. You got to find a sense of belonging. Nobody's supposed to travel through their lives solo. It's, you know, it's one thing if you're kung fu, but it's another thing if you're a beautiful, creative woman like I know you are, Marion. I would definitely reach out to other people, and I would double down on my meditation practice and internal self-connection, because that's what emanates and creates a beacon within you that draws people towards you. It's kind of like a magnet. I've dated long enough online, every site imaginable, so can review them. Not all that. Reality trumps it. I know that solo plays really too well. Yeah, Melissa, I wish I could say from direct experience that I'm not going to bullshit you and say like, oh, I know what it's like to try to go out and, find a date in this day and age, because I can't. However, I think if it's the Melissa I think it is, and we met once, I can recommend, again, that internal connection piece, that doubling down on your own non-negotiables. The reason why they're called non-negotiable is because you're drawing a line and a perimeter around yourself and saying, like, it's right there in the name, you non-believer, non-negotiable. So these are the things that I hold sacred and important. By focusing on those yourself and really, it makes you not only more attractive to everybody else, but it creates that magnetic kind of pull towards other people. That's my own experience with it. Like I said, I haven't spent a lot of time on sites chasing the perfect romance lately, but That's what I know to be true. Because if you think about it, a lot of us do that. A lot of us do that in other ways with how do I attract the right job opportunity, a better boss, better friends, better mentors. So it's not only just on the romantic tip. It's like we're always trying to attract high quality people into our lives for different reasons. Yeah. Wow, I love hearing this. I've had the universe paying me back like mad over the last 5 weeks. I've been able to give so much more to others. So my friend Chris Spitzer out west asked, how do you resolve or deal with the self-judgment issue? Something I really struggle with, and it makes me overly cautious and puts my head in the sand. Wow, that's great. I appreciate you being so candid about that. I'll give you a case in point in my own life that happened about 30 minutes prior to this call. If you could tell, I have kind of a high standard for visual quality for my slides and PowerPoints and other aspects of my show. I want it to be pro, and I want it to look ultimately like just a lot of love and attention has been given to it, because I feel, truthfully, that's what we all deserve, We don't deserve shitty fonts and fucking clip art. But I was really beating myself up for not having the bandwidth this past week to really give it the same amount of love I did in the past 2 weeks. So I went to the video format, which I think is actually kind of cooler as far as interviewing people. But to release the self-judgment issue, I recommend again this book by Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap. He has this great little pivot. So it's kind of like his little universal lens statement, where anytime you notice yourself whacking your gavel in the inner judgment, the inner critic, or looking at something perfect like your children or your life or your job and finding a flaw in it and trying to like exacerbate some problem that doesn't really exist, project your own bullshit onto the subject. He does this little simple tweak. He says, he reminds himself, I expand in success, abundance, and love on a daily basis, and I inspire others around me to do the same. That little tweak, I've used that exact tool numerous times whenever I'm a type AA Virgo epic expectations mofo. So I could get pretty, if you've ever been in a band with me, you might know I get kind of shitty when I'm expecting certain things, and I'm no different with myself. But ourself, we are the ones that deserve the first pass. We're the ones that deserve to get off the hook first, but we're usually the last ones let off the hook, So you really got to drop that shit if you're going to move forward. And everybody deals with it, myself no exception. I judge all sorts of things, but I'm doing it less and less. Again, the more I meditate, the more I live my truth, the more I do these things and share these things, the less I hold myself accountable for it. Because, again, you tend to expect great things to happen, and they usually do. Happy you're not throwing out some Comic Sans. Phew. Wow, right on. I appreciate that reference. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys with a little song. Is that good? Can you hang with that? All right. How about a little family song? Does that sound good? It's for my buddy Matt Schneider. I wrote it for my kids. Your mama wears a 6-year-old diamond, and it's small. Then your old man was only 22, and the fireworks went up over Akron on their honeymoon. The new year came and carried us away. A balcony on Sunset and a stack of bills to pay. As soon as it felt something like a home, you were on the way, and you finally came. More love than we know what to do with. More love than we know what to do with. And the first time we pushed you up the street, overwhelmed by how much can change in a week, and your shining new eyes look up at me. Can you see we're all we'll ever need? More love than we know what to do with. are a blur. I won't let you go unless you ask me to. So you won't remember this apartment. We'll forget how hard it was to stay afloat, and we'll fight our way back to the simple life we had before, when all that we had was more love than we knew what to do with. More love than we know what to do with. More love, more love, more love, more love, more love. All right, thanks, y'all. Sending you positive energy for a great presentation this afternoon. Namaste. Thank you all so much. You guys have been amazing. Thanks for joining me each week. I'm telling you, we are only getting started. There is so much more fun to be had. So much more fun to be had. What? So much more fun to be had. So much more fun to be had. We're just getting started in this mofo. We're going to pick it up with art and creativity next week, and then we're going to take everything we've talked about into our work in the service of others, creating the flywheel of activity, service, contribution, monetary compensation, whatever you're looking for. That's what powers it all, but we got to start with all these non-negotiables first. I thank you so much. You guys are incredible. And with that, I am signing off. This is Casey from This Epic Life. Namaste, brothers and sisters. I love you all.